Hello, I'm back with another video. I'm going to be breaking down Jujutsu Kaisen's opening. We've only reached the halfway point of the year and it's already the best year of openings we've ever gotten. As far as visuals go, the Heavenly Delusion opening by Wei Zhang and the Magical Destroyers opening by Kenichi Kutsuna are just my favorite. And music-wise, River is one of my favorite tracks ever. And as far as visuals go, I'd say Jujutsu Kaisen's opening is just ever so slightly below Wei Zhang's Heavenly Delusion opening. I still think that's an absolute masterpiece that will only be topped by maybe Shingo Yamashita later into this year. As far as Jujutsu Kaisen's opening's song goes, it's meh. It's kind of generic, but that's the kind of vibe that this opening is trying to sell. But hey, enough about that stuff. Let's actually talk about the meat, that is the visuals. Every one of us thought that Shingo Yamashita is going to return to direct the opening. We were wrong. Shingo Yamashita is instead going to be working for Shield Hero's opening. But hey, we literally got the next best person to work on it, being Yuki Kamiya. He directed my second favorite Chainsaw Man ED, being ED8, and also my favorite Chainsaw Man ED and my favorite ED ever, being Chainsaw Man's ED3. Yuki Kamiya is an incredibly good storyboard artist and also a very good photography artist, similar to Shingo Yamashita. He's memed to be Mr. Orange and Blue because he loves the cold blues and the warm oranges. He just uses them so efficiently because he's so proficient with photography. With this opening, however, it's clear that he's taking a lot of influence from Shingo Yamashita himself because Shingo Yamashita pretty much made the identity of Jujutsu Kaisen's openings. He's mixing that, of course, with his own storyboard ideas, and as usual, the opening has a bunch of extremely talented animators to work on it. Let's get into the breakdown itself though. We're starting with this animation of a water droplet, and it's not credited who did the effects animation for this, but then transitioning to this, which is Gojo falling asleep on a chair, which I think everyone should be able to tell is a direct reference to Shingo Yamashita's first opening. And this is again what I'm talking about, Yuki Kamiya's incredible understanding of photography and utilization, in this case, the color orange. It's not as orange as his other shots, but I mean, it still sells the mood properly. And I'm assuming this is Ghetto. Here, the Yuki Kamiya blues just capture the summer vibes so well, and combined with Moang's animation, it's just a feel-good piece of animation. Moang is an amazing artist. As good as he is at animation, he's also incredible at animation direction. He did not get to do all that much animation work for Chainsaw Man, but his quirky design work is what made the Shingo Yamashita opening look so good. Here he's just doing straight-up animation though, because most of the shots in Jujutsu Kaisen with these simple-looking characters are not going to require all that much animation director input. Considering the level of talent that they have animator-wise, the animators are just going to be able to do everything themselves. Moang is using rotoscopy here, and it's some of the best rotoscopy I've ever seen. It does not have that unnaturalness that comes from overnaturalness that rotoscopy has. So he's just using the rotoscopy to map out the character movements and the body language. The bulk of the movement comes from the animation itself. So his animation timing is what dictates the movement, and that is why it looks so natural. It looks less like rotoscoped animation and more like just extremely good character acting animation, something like Sota Yamazaki or Koki Fujimoto would pull off. Another thing I love about Moang's animation clip is how Gojo never takes his hands out of his pockets. Yeah. And there we get to see the Star Platinum Vessel. Star Platinum Vessel? Star Plasma Vessel. And I think this is the sacrificial area where she's going to be turned into soup for Tengen to consume, or maybe this is Tengen himself/herself. Strong Kagenashi artwork here though. There's a complete absence of shadows. Apparently these are just adapting some volume covers and they're doing with the quirky anime character designs now. I still think this dragon looks goofy. It looks so cool, so visually appealing, and then the teeth it just looks like a fucking horse. Why not just give the dragon sharp shark teeth? It would have made it look so much cooler. And this scene is when I realized who this Shoko character is. It's Ieri-san from season 1. I did not know that. I thought this is a character who in classic Jujutsu Kaisen fashion is just gonna die. I started wondering why she's holding a scalpel. And that's when I realized her full name is Shoko Ieri, the doctor that Ijichi has a crush on. Love the shot composition here, and the compositing is also exquisite. It's so beautiful. It's also visual storytelling in the sense that Naname is walking through the darkness, but then his partner, I'm assuming, just literally cuts through the darkness. And that bright path is literally broadening, and eventually Naname will also be taken into that bright path. It's awesome visual storytelling. Utahime getting scared as usual, and Meimei looking hot as fuck as usual. I don't know what this is about, that Toji's in a stand. Toji, stand, Star Platinum Vessel, Takehito Koyasu. I guess Jujutsu Kaisen was just a JoJo reference all this time. Again, this is not Kagenashi, but very minimal shadows, very minimal detail, but still the character drawing just looks so good, even with the minimal level of detail. This is again fantastic compositing work. Love the sequence as well. When the curse is forming into a ball. Stuff like this, I don't understand how you make this, because this is pure effects animation right now, right? So all those effects, the swirling in. First of all, the texture work on this effect this is something I would imagine like Miyasato doing for Mob Psycho 100 with paint on glass. But what is fascinating to me is the swirl of effects animation combining and forming this spherical body. We literally saw the pattern being formed from the effects animation. So what I really want to see is the Genga for this. Is it just a hand holding a ball with no texture work? Or if it's a hand holding a ball with like shadows on the ball to represent the swirls itself? This idea of seamlessness between where one department stops working and when the other department starts working. For example, like animation and then photography in this case. Is always fascinating to me. I can show you a pretty good example. Which of these torches is Trevor Belmont going to pick up? If you had a good eye, I'm sure you could tell which torch he was going to pick up, because the other torches, they are clearly part of the art direction, whereas this particular torch was animated by an animator. Next scene, awesome moving camera shot. Everything here is a 3D background. Yeah, as for the animation itself, this is a flawless rotation shot. Props to the in-betweeners who worked on this, because it does not melt at all. It is a pretty fast pan, so that helps. If it was a slow pan, that's the ones that are most prone to melting. This greenish hue with the way this is composited is just so beautiful, and it reminds me a lot of Ending 8, where he utilized a similar greenish hue. But this shot in particular is just something straight out of a Shingo Yamashita opening. I would never think of using just gray shadows on skin, ever. This is like the grayest gray color that there is, and it just perfectly works in this one scene. Also, Toji's design is just so ridiculous. The fact that his obliques are showing through his shirt. That's like the tightest fucking shirt ever, even tighter than the clothes that Fubuki and Tatsumaki wear. The shot composition is also really cool here. The perspectives are great, and yeah, you also get to see a hint of his back muscles here. And yeah, it's pretty good. He's got good back muscles. Down into the bath, and the effects animation popping up again. Very similar to the effects animation that we saw at the beginning of the episode itself. Kind of similar to the way Koki Fujimoto draws his effects. But it does not have Koki Fujimoto's timing with the effects. Mecha's scene starting from here, I'm not gonna say the last name. I'm just gonna call him Mecha. First cut is really cool. I wonder if it was difficult to have two characters of just vastly different proportions be matched through the middle like this. Love the way the curse energy is drawn in this show, of course. It's a style, I think, invented by Koki Fujimoto. Awesome perspective shot in this one. The way he leaps off of rooftops and then flips backwards to turn the camera before falling into an headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a teen Japanese Jujutsu sorcerer. Then, of course, appears the curse. So I guess this Q squad also has curse users. The way the curse appears through an explosion of effects animation, really cool. And this is where Mecha's scene ends and Sota Shigetsugu's scene begins. I love the way they're fighting on the walls here. It reminds me of Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Oh man, the memories. Yeah, the continuous camera tracking is always wonderful. I also love one thing about this opening is how the background, art direction, the super background with all these buildings and stuff is always keeping up with the chaotic action itself. Fantastic art direction and compositing. And he calls forth his goofy looking dragon with goofy ass teeth from the void, and then for some reason Gojo sitting on top of the dragon. Also love the expression that Gojo makes here. Gosh, that shot is just so good. Absolutely wonderful effects animation with the smoke and debris, and also these rainbow colored lines, and the dragon coming forth as well. It's just so beautiful. Love the compositing here. These are also the same colored pencil lines that were used in Jujutsu Kaisen's opening 1, so I guess this is another direct reference to Shingo Yamashita's opening. I also just love how blue everything here is, because of course summer blues, right? And Yuki Kamiya is a master of using the color blue. The cuts here are done by Kaito Tomioka. Kaito Tomioka, of course, one of the best up and upcoming animators, did such an incredible and very important job in Chainsaw Man when the team was struggling with the horrible production conditions. Kaito Tomioka was there to fill in the gaps and always have good output with amazing animation. This is the best single cut of animation from the opening. There is just so much work that went into this, so many drawings to be made. It is technically more than 24 FPS, which is the limit. The reason I'm saying that is that he is drawing more than 24 drawings because there's so many drawings that he needs to make. There's of course Geto and the Q guy fighting in the mid-ground. There's this curse that Geto used in Jujutsu Kaisen 0 movie as well. So that's a nice callback, or, well, this is in the past, so call forward. I don't know how that works. And yeah, that's in the foreground. In the mid-ground, you got Geto just absolutely beating the shit out of the Q combatants. And in the background, you got his dragon fighting the curse. And that's like the best bit of animation, honestly. I wish it wasn't blurred. I understand why that was done to put the focus on Geto, but I just love how much effort was put into that. Yeah, the kaiju fight in the background is just the best. It looks so goddamn good. Man, I hope we get something like that in the anime itself. That would be so beautiful to see. And yeah, continuous complex shifting perspectives, and this choreography with the CQC is also wonderful. First he dodges and then kicks him away, and then like a straight punch. Then you get the Q guy running towards him with a spear. He just jumps over that. I don't know how gravity works. He's jumping sideways and then going back down, but towards us. I don't know how that works. It's a cool scene, so I don't care. And then he kicks on top of that Q guy and then carries that momentum to kick the other Q guy. It is so cool. And of course, complex looking perspectives. Can't stop with just a complex looking perspective, of course. You need to have like a extremely beautiful looking transition, similar to the scene that we saw from the PV, which I'm sure will come in episode 2. Transition, this is all a reflection in Gojo's lenses. And this is the money shot. Extremely beautiful artwork here. Everyone was worried about the decreasing quality of character artwork because the character designs are, you know, less complicated than the previous ones. Look at this. Put this side by side with the best Gojo shot from Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1. And yes, that has more detail. This arguably looks just as good and also moves a lot more because the character design is simpler. Movement plus looking good versus just looking super detailed. Again, this only works in like a case-by-case basis. For example, if in Vinland Saga, the character design detail was reduced to match like Mob Psycho's designs, just so that it makes the characters easier to animate, I would hate that. That would be a horrible artistic choice, because what defines Vinland Saga character designs is the extremely detailed artwork. But for Jujutsu Kaisen, which is mainly focused on action Sakuga, and also the manga character designs are already very rough looking, I feel like a lower detailed character designs just work. Also love the I am fabulous pose by Gojo. Really cool looking smears, awesome perspective shifts again, and beautiful effects animation animated by Kaito Tomioka. All of this, like the tiny grainy particles in the background, they're all digital. The scene is again animated by Desang. So I guess Desang is like the exclusive goofy character acting animator for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. They had something similar for Chainsaw Man as well. Chainsaw Man had Koei Lin, an animator who exclusively animated food. And yeah, punch to the chest. That is worth doing like an hour of CPR. Definitely a way to heal someone. Also look at Yaga throwing the punch on Gojo and Geto. That's it. Literally not even animated. It just happens in the next frame. More continuous goofy character acting here. Low frame count, but it's very timing dependent. Most importantly, it's well animated. I wonder how Nanami turned out the way he is today. I wonder what is going to happen to this character. I'm an anime only. I have not read the manga, but I mean, it's Jujutsu Kaisen. This is again 2 extremely wonderful cuts. I love the sense of speed given here through the background movements and also the detail in their clothing. Mista Fushiguro here again throws down a ticket into the water as he moves forward. So I guess he's like a gambler, maybe, and that's also explains him sitting in the stands. So maybe he's like watching. There's a pretty big market for betting on horse racing in Japan, so I'm assuming that's what this is. And this is classic Kamiya blues. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Reaching out to grab this looks like a shark, but I'm assuming it's a whale shark. I think there's like a metaphor trying to gain freedom. Whales are a symbol of freedom because they are creatures that wander freely across vast, wide open spaces. Now we finally get classic Kamiya oranges. I was worried while watching this opening. We have not gotten the classic orange yet. Gojo scene in the beginning is orange, but it's not classic Kamiya orange. Just the warmth, it almost radiates towards you. Love the character acting here as well. It's just so nice. These last few shots are also really cool because they're not stills. They have tiny bits of movement. Like you can see Principal Yaga moving his face a little bit. Also Gojo rocking on his chair just a little bit. So again, just fantastic doga work there. Could also be like tool assisted in betweening. And I'm assuming this is Gojo and like a representation of his infinity. Gojo pissing off Utahime as usual. I guess this is celebratory welcome for the first years, which is Nanami and the guy who is definitely not gonna die. There's just a tiny bit of movement here, which is that character opening his mouth and also moving his body, filling his chest up with air because he's gonna sing, I guess. Gojo's not moving, but Geto and Ieri, they're clapping. The hand movement and hand animation is also fantastic. And the last bit of movement, again with the classic Kamiya orange. It's just Geto and Gojo walking out of the classroom. And yeah, That's it. I wonder if Kamiya is going to direct any episodes in the show, or if Kamiya is also going to do the Core 2 opening, that is a Shibuya arc opening, or maybe Shingoyama will be back for that. I'm also going to make an animation analysis video about the episode itself, and also one video for the ED sequence, because the ED sequence is also just phenomenal. It's beautiful. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you did not like it, leave a dislike. Subscribe and share, spread the love. And that's about it. Thanks for the views.